Government Television. Welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting. Originating from the County Administrative Center, located at 1115 Truxton Avenue in Bakersfield, California. Grounded in ideas, energy, and innovation, Kern County's vision is to be a driving force for the world's fifth largest economy. And our mission is to exceed expectations of the communities we serve, changing the way they feel about government, those who manage it, and the services it provides. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, 9 a.m. meeting of the Board of Supervisors. We're going to begin the meeting today with a flag salute led by Supervisor Maggard. And I would ask that you would please remain standing for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer. Thank you. Please be seated. All right, so next we will call on Nick Cullen, our Director of Animal Services, to introduce our Pet of the Week, which I believe is Lexi. Morning, Nick.
As you said, Chairman Scribner, I have with me this morning a beautiful bully breed dog. Her name is Lexus, or Lexi. She's only about 1.5 years old. She is beautiful girl. She's still a puppy, so she's trainable, and she gets along with just about every other person she comes across. She's a little fearful at first, but she's available for adoption right now at the Kern County Animal Shelter. She's going to make somebody a really cool family pet.
Nick, thank you so much. And Lexi, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Bye, Lex. We love you.
She's pretty.
Beautiful dog. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to consider our consent agenda, and if you'd like to follow along, our agendas are located in the back by the doors, so you can pick up a copy. So beginning on page 2, we have items 2 through 8 on consent. Page 3, items 11 through 15 are all on consent. Page 4, 17 through 21 on consent. Page 5, items 22 through 27 on consent. All items on page 6 are on consent, 28 through 33. And on page 7, same thing, all items 34 through 40 on consent. Page 8, all items 41 through 48 on consent. Page 9, all items 49 through 55 are on consent. And on page 10, all items 56 through 62 are on consent. And page 11, all items 63 through 69 are on consent. On page 12, all items 70 through 77 are on consent. And page 13, all items 78 through 86 are on consent. And 87 is the final item on consent. And so once again, these are all items that are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. And so these are going to be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If a member of the audience wishes to comment or ask questions about any of these items, they may do so prior to a vote being taken. A member of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be then listed or considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board considering the item before action is taken. So, does anyone have any questions or comments on the consent agenda as I just read? Okay, seeing none, I'll return to the board.
A motion on consent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Okay, so that will bring us to the next item on our listed agenda, which is on Page 2, and this is item 1. And this will be to proclaim June 2022 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month, and this will be considered by Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is my pleasure to move approval of the proclamation.
You have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Jeremy, morning. All right, good. Thanks for joining me. Thank you. Come on up. Colleagues, I am joined this morning by Jeremy Oliver, who is our Interim Director of Aging and Adult Services. Congratulations on the opportunity that you have, and we're looking forward to your leadership. Today, we're here, though, to proclaim June 2022 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Kern County. The sad reality is that right now, some elderly person is all alone in a room, either completely ignored and neglected or intentionally being taken advantage of. That is a reality of life for some of the elderly, too many of the elderly. And we want to end that, don't we? Yes, we do. Back in 2006, June 15, 2006, World Elder Abuse Day was proclaimed across the world, and that has morphed into proclaiming June each year as Elder Abuse Awareness Month. And I would like to ask Jeremy to give us a bit more information about that, but let me read the proclamation to highlight it for us. This is a proclamation from the Board of Supervisors on behalf of the County of Kern and the State of California, proclaiming June 2022 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Kern County, entered into our minutes by the signature of our Chairman, the Honorable Zach Scrivener, on this, the 14th day of June 2022. Jeremy, what else can you tell us about it? And we're looking forward to what we can do to help these folks out.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Maggard and Chairman Scrivener and members of the board for proclaiming the month of June as Elder Abuse Awareness Month. Jeremy Oliver, your Interim Director for Aging Adult Services. Tough to remember your own name sometimes, right? So essentially at the beginning of this year, 2022, the state expanded, that's right, the state expanded adult protective services by changing the definition of an elder from 65 to 60. Now, they didn't do this just to make everybody feel older 5 years earlier. It is actually to align folks with the Older Americans Act, which are federal funded programs, and also to allow us to intervene hopefully a little bit earlier for those who may be suffering from some sort of abuse or neglect situation. The types of abuse that we encounter or we investigate are financial, physical, emotional, and self-neglect and neglect. Okay? Along with that expansion, the governor also added a Home Safe program to Adult Protective Services. And the Home Safe program is intended to assist those that are at imminent risk of homelessness or homeless as a result of abuse or neglect situations. Part of the criteria is for them to obviously meet the criteria for Adult Protective Services clients, which is 60 and above, or people who are dependent adults who are 18 to 59 with some sort of a mental or physical disability that impedes their ability to protect themselves, okay? As a result of some of these changes, Adult Protective Services has seen an increase in the total number of referrals we receive per month. Currently, previously we received anywhere between 300 to 400 reports per month. Now we're seeing anywhere between 400 to 500 reports per month. And the complexity of the cases has actually increased as well. So I'm very thankful for the staff that I have at Adult Protective Services that are out there daily combating this issue and trying to serve the persons within the county who are maybe abused and neglected. Even though we know we're getting 400 to 500 reports per month, we know that we're vastly underreported. So statistics tell us that for every incident we're reported, there's probably 20 instances that go unreported. So to give you a perspective of that total neglect or abusive situation that's within the county. I'm pleased to announce this year we have a conference, and it's going to be our 23rd annual Elder Abuse Conference. It'll be held virtually, and our topic is going to be on homeless services. And I'm pleased to say that we have presenters from our local area. That includes our district attorney, Cynthia Zimmer, Jim Wheeler from Flood Ministries, and Rebecca Moreno from CAP-K, and Gloria Perea and Cassandra Thompson from Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. So our event will actually be held on June 15th, as Supervisor Maggard indicated, which is Elder Abuse Awareness Day. So in conjunction with that, we're going to hold our event and have it virtually so we can hopefully contain any issues of spread of issues of COVID, et cetera. I've actually been able to provide pins to everybody in the audience, so hopefully everybody was able to grab one. And yeah, that's right, they do have a light, and there's no such thing as a free pin anymore, right? So within these pins is a host of different material. So obviously purple, why is it purple? It's the color of recognition of abuse for elder independent adults, okay? The number on it has a number for reporting to Adult Protective Services, and their website is actually so you can report directly online any instances of abuse or neglect you may encounter. Now, many people may have noticed, obviously, the light. You know, what is the purpose of the light? It is that way we can shine a light on elder independent adult abuse, make it more recognizable, bring it to the forefront, right? Everybody has an opportunity within their own hands to be able to bring light to the situation. And so I want to remind people the opportunity is there for everybody to bring dignity, justice, and respect to this population that's often overlooked. With that stated, I have to say that within the county, we have a pretty strong light. So within our departments, this board, all bring forward elder and independent adult abuse cases. And it extends to our sheriff's office, our district attorney's office, probation, fire department, veteran services, Department of Human Services, public health, behavioral health. And I know I'm missing a couple of other departments in here, but all have contributed to trying to make this county more aware of the situation with elder independent adult abuse. I do want to say thank you again for your support and the ongoing efforts to enlighten the community with regards to elder independent adult abuse, and have a good one.
Thank you. Let's get our picture taken. I got to say, in 16 years, Lido never gave us a flashlight ink pen.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck, man. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is item number 9, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask a question for clarification, make a referral to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. So I'll ask if there's any members of the public that would like to make a public presentation. We'd ask that your statements are limited to 2 minutes, and please state your name. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Scribner. Do we have that overhead that we can place on the big screen? Perfect, thank you. Good morning, Chairman Scribner and distinguished board members. I am Vince Mayocco, last name spelled M-A-I-O-C-C-O. I'm here as an advocate for election integrity, and I've had some serious concerns regarding the Kern County Election Office, and I have made these concerns well known at a number of previous Board of Supervisor meetings, along with the local media. The latest incidents with our election office has done nothing to ease my concerns with this department. Why does our election office take so long to update and post the vote count? Why does the election office not have a detailed itinerary of when and at what times future vote counts will occur? Each of you should have a hard copy in front of you, and it's also on the big screen to my left, of what the Sacramento County Election Office has on their website. Orange County, Tulare County, and a number of other California counties have these on their websites as well too, with detailed metrics and information about the election. They have predetermined dates and times of when updates will be made to the public and to the media. I have been a head baseball coach at the college level for over 25 years. Each morning I post a detailed practice plan down to the exact minute. On game days, I post both pregame and game time responsibilities for all my players and coaching staff. I do this so all of my players and coaching staff will know what is expected of them and what they are to expect in practices and games. This is a character of responsible leadership, something the Kern County Election Office needs a lesson on. Is it asking a lot for election office to post something on their website similar to what Sacramento, Orange, Tulare, and other California counties have on theirs? The Kern County Election Office works for we the people, and we the people are owed the right to posted election updates on a consistent and timely manner. Waiting 3 or 4 days, and in some cases longer, for updates is inexcusable. It's been a continual problem with our election office, and this current issue does nothing to ease my concerns. I got 2 more sentences here. This is yet another black eye for the Kern County Election Office, and another example of why the election office must be decoupled from the auditor, controller, and county clerk position. Thank you so much for your time and understanding on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Maiko. Do we have any other speakers on this particular issue? Okay, we have a few, because I will ask Mary Bedard to come up and respond, because I see her in the audience as well. So next speaker, please. Good morning.
Good morning. Dennis McLean again. Good morning, board members and staff. I wanted to pass along my recent experience as an observer at our election department. I went in Saturday afternoon, and by my surprise, I was required to wear a mask. Are you kidding me? Are we regressing backwards to the so-called pandemic era? I would like to know, or I would like the board to tell me if you made that mandate, or was it the department head? Who has the authority to mandate masks in our county administration building? Is this the same individual who waited till the last minute to approve funding for the Dominion voting machines, Mary Bedard? As I observed the ballot handling process, I noticed many temp workers on site. My opinion on hiring temp workers to perform an important task as processing the election ballots is not acceptable. You would think as many people as the County of Kern employs as public servants, they would have their own people provide the service. May I ask how many of you supervisors, department heads, and staff have been right down the hall to observe this operation? I know the answer is too busy. Gone are the times when people trusted the election process by voting in person with paper ballots and votes were counted by hand. Those were also the days when American citizens were proud to be associated with a democratic republic. Unlike money, power, and a corrupt administration we have to put up with today, it's terrible. God bless us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, and congratulations, Letitia Perez and Chairman Scrivener. My name is Mary Little. I'm a concerned citizen. First of all, I'd just like to ask why the ryegrass is planted out here when we're not able to water our grass regularly. I'm just asking. So I'm a taxpayer. This is a public building. We have a right to observe the ballot being processed on the ballots being tabulated and processed. So my story is on the 10th of this month. I was escorted back to the viewing area. On the way back there, I saw at least 4 people not wearing a mask. I was there about 10 minutes and I was told I had to wear a mask. I asked why, and she said it was policy. I said, I'm not going to wear a mask. She came back with 2 other people who berated me for quite a while and told me I had to wear a mask, and I told them I was not going to, so they told me I had to leave the building. I said no, because this is a public building and I have a right to be here as a concerned citizen. They left. About an hour later, it was break time. I came back. They told me I couldn't come back in without wearing a mask. Put one on, go to the viewing area. Immediately, they tell me I had to wear a mask. I told them again, no, I'm not going to. So Laura Cantu came by eventually, and kept telling me she's a supervisor there, and she kept telling me I had to wear a mask, and I told her it's against my constitutional rights, and it's also against any medical mandates that they cannot force somebody to wear a mask because there are no mandates. She told me that she was going to enforce that and that I had to leave, and I kept telling her to ask. I asked for in writing many times the policy, and she said she doesn't have to show me a policy. Well, eventually the park rangers came by and they told me I had to leave and they were going to arrest me for trespassing. It's not trespassing, it's a public building. Mary Bedard has no legal authority to implement mask mandate. In fact, what she is doing is against the law, violating California Business and Professional Code 2052 because she's practicing medicine without a license. She is mandating that people wear a medical device without any prescription, and she's doing that in her belief that she is preventing sickness for other people, none of which she can legally do. Further, Laura Cantu and Mary Bedard and the park rangers violated Civil Code 517B2, which is a threat of intimidation and violence.
Ms. Little, you've gone over your time. If you could please
Yep.
bring your comments
And
to a
I
close,
have
please.
I have two sentences. Which is a threat of violence to my person and which is punishable by a $25,000 civil penalty. I intend to file the violations along with a cease and desist order to stop wearing the mask for employees here. And ironically, she's not wearing a mask today, Mary Bedard.
Thank you. Who'll be next, please?
Tom Pavich, California, Election Integrity Project, California. I'm the Kern County coordinator. We have been observing in this current election, and I wanted to give you a summary and a report of what we have found. We do have some work to do. Kern County is dead last in the number of provisional ballots that have been cast. That has happened in other elections, and so probably something we need to look at and study. In the last update, Kern County was the 4th slowest county to count its ballots out of the 58 counties. In terms of what we would like to see, our organization is better access during the ballot processing here in the elections office. Like what we had during the recall. For some reason, and we have been unable to get a good answer to that question, is that during the recall, we were within 1 foot of the computer monitors so that we could see the signature comparisons. The monitors were put up against the glass. They mirrored the monitors that each election worker was working at back in their cubicle, and that worked fine. We were pleased with that, but for some reason this year that procedure was changed and the monitors were moved 7.5 feet from where we are sitting, and we have to look through a glass to do that. When our observers complained that they couldn't see well enough, we were told that we could bring binoculars as a solution. I did bring binoculars. It's quite difficult to go from binoculars to regular eyesight and write notes and bring your binoculars back up. It's not a practical way to do that. We would like to see us back to what other counties, I surveyed other counties within our organization, and every other county allows the observer to stand immediately behind the chair of the election worker. This is the way it used to be done when Karen Ray was here, but for some reason this has all changed. We would also like to see real-time verbal communication with a representative from the election department like we had during the recall. Currently, I have to put...
Mr. Pavich, your time has expired, so if you could bring your comments to a close, but I would love to have what you have to say in writing as well.
I will. Currently, we have to put those requests in writing, and sometimes it takes 1 week to get an answer. And with that, I'll close. I do have other items. I will put that in writing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Any other speakers, please? Good
I
morning.
have one comment on the California Public Records Act that I requested.
Can you
and submitted
please
for
provide your
elections.
name?
Okay, Leilani Tedeschi. So on December 9th, California Public Records Act was submitted to the Elections Division. Of the 11 items that I requested, one was produced, the invoices for the temporary agencies that were utilized for the recall election. I asked Kathleen to hand out a copy of those. When Mary Bedard spoke on March 1st, she said that the exact staff temporary agency that was working the recall election was located here in Kern County. It is not. It's located in Calabasas, about 85 miles south of here. So I wanted to bring that to your attention because Mary Bedard doesn't even know the temporary agencies they're being utilized to support the elections division. Okay, that's a completely separate matter than what with regards to the elections. So I've been observing the elections. On May 21st and May 18th, I submitted questions on this form that we're required to submit our questions on. Mary Bedard responded on May 23rd that we will begin providing this information daily as regards to my questions about how many ballots have been scanned and how many collected. To this day, no information has been provided. So again, she's not being truthful in her responses. I have that in writing, and there's one here for each of the supervisors. Additionally, we observed a temporary worker being assigned to do signature verification, which is the foundation of the mail-in ballot process. A brand new temporary worker was trained in less than 7 minutes. 4 of those minutes were showing how to navigate within the software. I think that is criminal. It's pathetic that we have a brand new temporary worker in less than 3 minutes to verify our signatures on mail-in ballots. This is the negligence that is occurring, and it needs to be addressed. Please. I have much other data.
Ms. Sadesky, thank you for what you're bringing to our attention. We do appreciate it. Your time has expired. Do you have anything in writing that you can submit to us so we can
absolutely
continue to peruse that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Couch?
may I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Tedeschi, I have a question about what you gave us.
Yes.
For example, on page 1, there's some little checks, I guess, or you're ticking off on certain names. What does that signify, if anything? And I see some notes as I go through here. Some pages there's no notes and no check marks, and then in one page you say
I have to get one.
not a registered voter or something. I think I saw.
Oh, on the invoices.
Yeah.
Yes, so on the invoices, I went through, to work the elections, you're supposed to be a registered voter. And so I compared the employees or the temporary workers that are on these invoices to our voter roll, and some of them are not registered voters.
And I see you've got stars by them and then written not registered on half a dozen or so of them. But on the very first page, there are check marks or like somebody's checking off names.
Well,
does that signify anything or no?
No, those were provided on the copies. I did not.
Oh, that was already there. Okay.
Yes, those tick marks were there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Are there any other speakers on any issues related to the Elections Department? Do you have any more? Because I would like to give an opportunity for Mayor Bedard to respond before we move on to other subject matter. Okay, seeing none, then I'll ask Ms. Bedard if she'd like to come down and respond to the comments that have been made thus far. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just to reply to a few of the comments, one of the first speaker mentioned that we were late in updating, that we did not update as often as other counties, and that is simply not true. We update during the night, on election night, as is required. The first update has to be within 2 hours of the close of polls. Most counties update between 8 and 8:30, and that's when we did our first update. And after that, we update at least every 2 hours, which is required. So we had an update prior to 10, prior to midnight, and then our final was before 1, that we have to wait until Ridgecrest ballots come in. So that's when our final. But we update along the same timelines as every other county. After that, the first update for the majority of counties was done on Friday. There were some counties, particularly smaller counties, that some of them updated on Thursday, but the majority updated on Friday, which is when we did our first update. And then because we did work over the weekend, we did another update yesterday. And very few counties actually have done a second update at this point. They may be planning to do an update today, but we did a second update prior to the time that most other counties updated. Regarding the issue of masks, we did have a problem with quite a few both county employees as well as some of the temp workers testing positive beginning on January 8th. We did consult with the risk management department, and because of the nature of the work, the fact that we're not able to maintain physical distancing, the fact that we have a very tight timeline in which to complete the work, that we were advised that we could require masks of both the workers and the observers while they were in our office, and so that's what we did.
That's bull. First of all, whenever anyone is up here making testimony, we don't hear a bunch of audience comments from the rear. And so when we have a department head up that's answering the questions, it's inappropriate for you to make comments while Ms. Bedard is commenting. So I will ask you to refrain. Thank you.
Okay, regarding Mr. Pavich's issue regarding provisional ballots, and I have addressed this several times in the past, Kern County did not, going into the 2020 election and since, Kern County did not have a lot of the equipment that other counties had, so that they were better prepared for the mailing ballots to all active registered voters. Because we do not have that equipment, the only way for us to ensure that voters do not vote twice is to require that they surrender their mail ballot. We have asked voters to do that both in 2020 and then again in the recall and again in the primary. And for voters who do not surrender their mail ballot, we do require that they vote provisionally. That is a requirement from the Secretary of State's office. And then, we can make sure that they did not also vote their mail ballot, and then we will count their provisional ballot. So that is why we have more provisional ballots than many other counties. We have, in fact, purchased the equipment with state grant money. It was not able to be implemented prior to the primary. We do expect to have it implemented in time for the general election. So at that point, we will no longer have to require that voters surrender their mail ballot, and therefore our provisional numbers should go down. Regarding the monitors for signature checking, putting the monitors up on the wall in front of the observers was done simply as a COVID measure in 2020, and we did continue it in the recall in 2021, but it was never meant to be a permanent solution. When we remodeled our vote-by-mail room over the past year, we did put the signature checking stations. They are immediately in front of the observation area so that you have the monitor with the screen, you have the worker sitting behind the screen doing the signature checking. Then there is the glass partition, and then there is the observers sit directly behind that. So they are directly behind the workers who are doing the signature checking. And this is the way we had done it prior. When we were, however, back then we were having them go into the vote by mail room prior to 2020. The monitors were simply done as a COVID measure, and now with the remodel, that we now have the signature checking stations directly in front of the observers. Regarding the...
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question about that?
Supervisor Koch.
How far away is an observer from the screen in that scenario?
It's less than 6 feet. I mean, you've got the screen, you've got the worker working, sitting, so you have to have the space for the worker to sit.
And how
behind
big is the screen? As big as a computer?
Yes, it's the computer screen.
I couldn't see that from 6 feet away.
The signatures are fairly large. I mean, I walk behind.
I still don't think I could see it from 6 feet away.
I mean, you might want to come down and watch while we do signature checking.
I've seen that in the past, but I was much back then. I was much closer.
As I say, it is the normal what we would have had if we'd had them coming into the. We would never have had them standing directly behind the worker, breathing down, the worker's neck. I mean, even before COVID, there would have been some space there behind the worker. You cannot have people standing, leaning over the worker while they're working. And certainly with COVID, it certainly wouldn't be possible either. Regarding the temp agency issue, while the temp agency is headquartered in Calabasas, their Bakersfield office is down on 1430 Truxton, on the corner of Truxton and Chester. And there is no requirement that we would have to have local, but we do use a local temp agency because the people do live and work here in Bakersfield. And where they indicated that some of the temp workers were not registered, we actually went back and looked. But first of all, they're not required to be registered to work in our warehouse or to be a registered voter to work to answer our phones. There is no requirement in the law that they be registered voters. In the recall, we did have we did send some temps out to the poll sites because we were short-staffed. We did not do that in the primary election. But even they're required to be registered voters. If they are citizens, they are required to be registered voters in the state of California. They're not required to be registered in Kern County. And in fact, the ones that they indicated were not registered based on our review, were registered, but they're not required. As far as not answering the questions early on as we were in the process of checking vote by mail ballots during the past month, there was a bit of a delay in getting answers, and so what I had responded to them is that we would respond daily to their questions, not specifically saying that we would go back. Some of the questions that had been asked were how many ballots had arrived on a certain date, and we didn't necessarily go back to answer every single question since we were providing more updated information at that point, but the answer that I gave was that we would answer their questions daily, and that is what we have been doing. As far as temp worker and how long they were trained, generally we have county employees. In fact, that has been the policy in this election, is to have county employees verifying the signatures. But they are given training. The observers may not have seen the entire length of the training, but we do provide training to anyone, and they are county employees. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Bedard. Any questions from the board? Supervisor Maggard.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Bedard, how does someone verify if they're provincial, not provincial, what's the word that you used again for the votes?
Provisional.
Provisional, thank you. If their provisional vote has been counted yet or not?
Okay, the provisional ballots are the last ones to be counted. So we wait. We have the vote history from the roster, if did they vote at the polls. We have the vote by mail. Once all of those are input into the system, then we'll look at the provisionals so that we can then see, did they vote in some other manner? And if they have not, and if there's no other reason for them to have voted provisionally, then we would count their ballot.
About how far out do you think it will be before we are counting those provisionals and the process will end?
Next week, we're still counting the vote by mail. We will probably not finish vote by mail until early next week, so I would assume we would be getting to looking at the provisionals later next week.
And do we have any idea how many votes are left to be counted?
Okay, so on the last update that we provided to the Secretary of State, let me see. I think I've got it here. It's about, I believe, 60,000 votes left to be counted.
Very good. Thank you very much.
70,000.
Supervisor Couch.
So, Ms. Bedard, have you seen, I assume you have, the exact staff
Yes.
invoice that was provided by Ms. Tedeschi? You've seen?
Yes, yes.
So, I want to ask, the people that she says that she checked and found that were not registered voters, I see only 3 different titles on all these invoices for different positions: warehouse, office assistant, and then a couple of customer service, I believe it was. So which ones of those count votes?
Well, they wouldn't be counting. I mean, there are some of them.
Or which ones are involved in signature verification?
Well, generally, we don't have temps. Now, in the recall, we did probably have some temps doing signature verification. In the primary, we do not. We have county employees doing the signature verification. But, really, there is no requirement that they be registered voters in order to
For any of these people on these invoices?
The only one in those invoices would have been we did send a few people out to poll sites, so they were poll workers. And so then if they are citizens, they're required to be registered in the state of California, not necessarily registered in Kern County to vote. And when we went back and checked, we saw that they had they were registered. So there was no problem with the poll workers, and none of the other workers are required to be registered voters.
I thought we had talked about in the past how you had to be a registered voter in the county to work the election. Is that not the case? I think what you just said.
As a poll worker, you're saying, or just to work anywhere?
Well, maybe it was specifically poll workers.
But it is in, actually, the state loosened the requirements a few years ago. You have to be registered to vote. If you're a citizen, you have to be registered to vote in the state of California, but you do not even need to be a citizen to be a poll worker anymore. We do not actively recruit non-citizens, but we are allowed to. And if you are not a citizen, then you simply need to be in the country legally. And according to election code, that is the requirement to be a poll worker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Peters?
About how many signature observing stations are there? How many people do you have set up on monitors looking at signatures normally?
Well, our basic setup is we have currently 5 signature stations. We actually added a few today so that we can try to finish up all of the signature verifications. We also have, so that we have those in a few other places where, again, though, we have places where observers can stand behind them and observe. But it's at about the same distance.
So just hearing the concerns, is there any way that your department would look at, putting up some larger monitors or TV screens or something where those signatures could be displayed and seen a little bit more easily by observers?
And that is something, obviously, in the future we could look at. Some things that we've also looked at is more live streaming more of the activity and making that available to the observers as well. So that is certainly something that we could look at.
Okay.
Well, Supervisor Peters, I'm sorry, were you finished?
Just one more question.
Thank you.
There was.
I just wanted to tear off of something you said. So.
Oh, yeah. My only other question was there was a mention of the public records request that hadn't been filled, and I don't know when that was submitted or if there are plans to fill that it just haven't been yet, or what the status of that was.
We've gone through the public records request. I know some of it we were having to run through county council, so we'll have to go back. If there's anything that we have not responded to, we will respond to that.
Thank you.
That's all for now, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. I appreciate you bringing up the thought about the video screens. I'm going to ask Mr. Alsop, our CAO, are there any resources that we can provide through KGov, through any of our other county departments for Ms. Bedard to allow for that additional transparency, which appears to be something the public would like to see? Literally.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I would be happy to look into that and see what we were able to do.
Okay. I mean, I don't want her lack of resources to be a hindrance to transparency when it comes to people being able to see signatures, ballots, et cetera. So we want to help you, give you what you need in order for the public to feel like they have what they feel is appropriate. So we appreciate you answering our questions, Ms. Bedard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You too.
Is a rebuttal allowed?
No, we don't. We're not doing rebuttals, but I'd be happy to entertain any other questions from the public that aren't pertaining to this particular subject, because we still have public presentations open. So, are there any other members of the public that would like to come forward? Good morning.
Morning. My name is Gilbert Tarr. I'm from downtown Lebec, and I think it's time for the board to fire some people for not doing their job. Number one, you have a deputy sheriff in Fraser Park that's involved in senior abuse. He won't come when you have a burglary call, and recently you have a person who dumped tree stumps in a roadway, not on his property. He was called, refused to come. He said, go to the code compliance officer. I personally went to Al Rojas, and I've heard nothing. They're still in the middle of the easement, and I want something done.
Thank you, Mr. Is it your last name again? Is it Tard? Is that right?
Tar.
Tar, sorry, excuse me. I am reasonably sure that we've already litigated your concern that you have over that easement, that's gone to court. It's been that the judgment was found against you. Is this something new, or is this the same case?
No.
Which?
This is something new.
This is a new one. Okay.
It's new. I never made the call to the sheriff's office.
Okay.
My neighbor made it, and he refused to take a report and said the code compliance needed to hear from it, and code compliance has done nothing about it.
So this is.
And you need to fire 2 people for not doing their job.
Thank you.
My last comment before I go is, why is the gas prices so high? Number one, 1/3 of the oil wells in Kern County are on stop. Why? Thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Char, if you would please leave your name and contact info if you do have a new issue that you would like to have us explore in regards to code compliance or county council, would be happy to do that. I just wanted to make sure we weren't relitigating something that had already been adjudicated in the courts. But if it hasn't been, then I'd be more than happy to look into it again. So Mr. Alsop is right there, and I'm sure would be happy to take your contact info. The gas prices question would maybe have to go up the chain of command above the Board of Supervisors, but and just fully respectfully, but I would like to make sure that we are satisfying everything at our level for you. So if you could please leave your contact info with Mr. Alsop, who has his hand up right there.
You know, there's one other comment that I'd like to make. Is you
I-
have a bus service from Lebec to Bakersfield.
That
It also
and you know what, we don't have that on the audio, and so we would need to. But if you have anything about bus service that you're concerned about, then that's also something else.
It's a blessing to have the bus. However,
Thank you. We appreciate that.
scheduling does not meet going to work at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, that's a great thing for our Public Works Department. If the scheduling you feel needs to be modified, then that's a great thing for our Public Works Department to work on. And I appreciate you bringing that to our attention because that is completely relevant. And so we thank you, sir. Any other comments from members of the public today? Good morning.
Hi, my name is Tracy Halverson. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank you for taking time to listen to concerns that I have about classification and compensation for dispatch positions. I'd like to point out a few items that aren't apparent at a quick glance. Our biggest concerns are with hiring and retention. The Fire Dispatch Center is a very small group in terms of the county as a whole. Our total county staffing is a total of 23 positions. The City of Bakersfield provides 10 positions, and they've added 2 more for a total of 35. You may not realize how highly skilled these positions are. It takes 9 months on average for new employees to be able to work without someone sitting by their side. Most dispatchers feel they're not fully competent until they've served about 3 years, until about 3 years of experience. Mistakes can be life-threatening, endangering the health and safety of our citizens, and can cost the county thousands, like incorrectly launching an air tanker. This job has little room for error, and experience matters in dispatch. Experienced dispatchers can quickly calm a hysterical caller to get critical details in a good location. Experienced dispatchers immediately understand the potential impact when they hear words like DJ and fire being mentioned by a call taker. Experienced dispatchers recognize agonal breathing in the background of the call, even before the caller does. Our turnover is about 22% annually. That means that dispatchers must fill those positions with mandatory overtime until new people are hired and completed their training, or the center runs short-staffed, meaning there aren't as many people available to handle your calls. Our training success rate is only 64%, which means we're paying for testing, backgrounds, 6 required certifications, and a training salary, only to have 36% of those trainees walk away or fail training. That's not going to change if we aren't attracting and retaining people by offering pay commensurate with the experience and the responsibilities. One of my trainees recently told me, they sure expect me to shoulder a lot of responsibility making life and death decisions for not much more than fast food pay before she quit. We need smart, committed, public service-minded people, and we need them to stay. No one that works in public service expects to get rich, but please help ensure that they can afford to stay. The Bakersfield City Council has been up recently to our center, but I don't recall the last time we've seen anyone from the Board of Supervisors. So I'd like to invite you all to come up and see for yourselves what we do. I'd also like to leave a couple of charts for you to peruse later when you're looking at class and comp, showing what our retention issues are. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Any other public speakers, please? And once again, I'm going to remind everybody to try to stick to the 2-minute time limit.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. My name is Tammy Ollinger, and I work for the Kern County Sheriff's Office, and I am representing the dispatcher classification today. We are the first point of contact for 911 in the county. People are calling us because they are afraid and they need help and they need it now. It is our responsibility and our job, the citizens of Kern County, to be there for them. We understand there's a nationwide shortage in all job areas, but not all of those jobs hold lives in their hands. Short staffing at Carl's Jr. just means that you get your chicken sandwich a little late. Short staffing in the 911 center means that there may be a 911 call unanswered where a child is not breathing, a father just got shot. If you were sitting with your dying mother and you needed an ambulance and you called 911 and it kept ringing, how would you feel? Agony and outrage. There should be no one who feels this in their time of need. We need your help. For many years, we routinely had lateral applicants from other agencies around the state. We have had one lateral apply in the last 10 years. The workload we have and the pay are not worth it for potential applicants to make that move. In fact, we're losing our dispatchers to those other agencies. They leave for better pay, benefits, and less workload. We've had potential applicants who've done a sit-along at the 911 center and have made the comment, why would they trade their Monday through Friday jobs, 9 to 5, for the long shifts, mandatory overtime, the heavy workload, and the liability of dispatching for just a few dollars above minimum wage? What's in it for them for that sacrifice? It takes a special skill set to work as an emergency dispatcher. Our retention rate is approximately 40% across the nation. We're retaining 2 out of every 5 that we hire. Many of our trainees are leaving because the pay is not worth the stress of the job. They're asking what incentive is it for them to push through it. The time limit today does not allow me to address the officer safety issues related to our staffing. That would take much longer. Your dispatchers take their job seriously and are working themselves to the bone to make sure they hold up their responsibility to the citizens of Kern County. They need help. The citizens of Kern County need their Board of Supervisors to recognize the job that their dispatchers have done and continue to do each and every day. As Tracy mentioned before, I would encourage you to take some time and come and visit the comm center to help understand the job that we're doing, that we're upholding each and every day.
Thank you so much for your comments, and anything in addition that you would like to submit to us in writing, we would appreciate it.
Okay.
And also reach out to our schedulers about coming in to visit the comm center.
Okay, thank you.
Who will be next, please?
Good morning. My name's Rhonda Choate. I'm with Kern County Coroner's Office.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Rhonda Choate with the Kern County Coroner's Office.
How do you spell the last name?
Choate.
Thank you.
I'm just going to keep mine kind of brief. I don't have a lot of stats for you today. Basically, just here to have you ask for your help regarding the compensation and classification. Death rate's going up. It keeps going up. It's not going down, but our staffing level keeps going down, or it's very hard for us to maintain a staff level. Right now, we have currently 8 deputy coroners who are able to respond to calls. That's throughout Kern County. A lot of those shifts are single-man shifts. So if you're on your way to Ridgecrest and you're driving, you have another death come in, you pull to the side of the road, you take that death. Meanwhile, where you're headed is still standing by waiting for you to get there. We respond to a lot of areas where law enforcement is unable to stand by. If they do stand by, we're keeping them out of something else that they can respond to right away. It's all a trickle effect. We keep getting exposed to more and more fentanyl cases are going up. When we walk into an overdose case, we never know what we're walking into. We deal with families on the worst days of their life. We then have to switch hats and be as compassionate as we possibly can and understanding to that family to be able to help them through the next steps. Even though we explain everything to them, they don't remember. So once it's our call in the field, the next day it becomes everybody's call in the office because that family's gonna call, and they're gonna call multiple times because they're not gonna remember what was said. So not only are we working our cases, we're working our coworkers' cases too. So I just like for you to keep that in consideration and think about our classification and compensation.
Thank you. Any other speakers, please? Hello again.
Leilani Tedeschi. I've attended several board meetings, and almost at every meeting, the speaker during public comments can't convey all of their thoughts in 2 minutes. Is it possible to get a resolution or a proclamation to increase the time that we're allowed to provide comments? At school boards, it varies. Some are 3 minutes, some are 5 minutes. I don't think 2 minutes is sufficient. I mean, there's some critical issues here that the public is addressing, and we don't have a time to rebuttal. So is that something that the board can take up and consider?
Ms. Tedeschi, I appreciate the question. We obviously try to maintain a time limit so the meeting can continue to move forward. Our county counsel, Margot Rezan, is not here today. I think that I would prefer to have her be able to address that specifically for you versus asking her deputy to do that at this point as to why we have that time limit and the reasons for doing that. So I would like to get you a response in writing to that end,
Okay.
but I would like to ask for our county counsel to be here before we do that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers, please? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to board member announcements or reports. Do we have any from any of the members of the board? Okay. Then the next item on our agenda would be item 16. This is an item under Auditor, Controller, County Clerk. Ms. Bedard, who we've heard from earlier today. This is certification of results of examination of the County Board of Supervisors Term Limits County Initiative petition.
I would like to speak on that.
You will have your opportunity to once we introduce the item. Thank you. And I appreciate your question. So what we'll do is we'll essentially have Ms. Bedard present the item, and then I'll ask for public comment at that point. Ms. Bedard, good morning again.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. So this is the certification of the results of the examination of the Term Limits Initiative. We did examine the signatures and found that a sufficient number of signatures were collected in order for this petition to be certified. And so now, we present to you the results of that. According to the government code, that you now make a choice as far as moving forward and provide direction to county staff.
Thank you, Ms. Bedard. I'll ask if there are any comments or questions from members of the board before I go to the public.
Zach, may I ask?
Supervisor Perez.
I'm sorry, Mary, to put you on the spot or counsel, but is somebody going to say what the options are? Are we going to expect to hear from that from the public? Some direction, I think, would be helpful moving into what are going to be very serious comments from the public.
Thank you.
I can provide that.
Thank you.
Your options at this time is to submit to the vote.
Excuse me, counsel. Let's make sure your microphone's on. I don't know that it was.
Can you hear me now? Does that become better?
Yes, we can.
Okay. You have two options at this time. You can either submit it to the voters for the November 2022 election, or you can request from staff a report on actually any matter you like. There's a list of it in the board letter of the different things you can request a report on. The last one says any other matters your board requests to be in the report. So if there's any information you would like to have before you submit that information to the voters, you can do that at this time. A report will come back to you in 30 days. And at that time, it will go back to the Board of Supervisors, back on the supervisor's agenda, and you will need to submit it to the voters at that time.
Supervisor Perez, do you have any other questions before I go to Supervisor Couch?
That's very helpful, and then obviously that's the context by which we want to hear from you, and this board will discuss it. We'll see what's next, but thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Couch.
Mr. Chairman, I'll wait for the public to speak first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll ask if there's any members of the public that would like to make comment on this item. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Sandy Moreno, and I'm a caregiver in California City. I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I moved here in December of 2020 to care for my grandmother after she had a stroke. And I'm able to provide care for her through the IHSS program, which helps residents like myself and other folks, like my grandmother, to live at home and avoid expensive institutional care. Like many IHSS providers, I didn't start out as a home care worker. I took a big pay cut to care for my grandmother. But I know I'm giving her the best care that I can provide to her. And without me, my grandmother might have to go into an institution at the expense of taxpayers. In fact, she was at an institution for a year after I took her out. There are many families in the same position, and there are many seniors and people with disabilities in Kern County without family member to get a caregiver. And as you know, there are not enough home care workers to meet the current needs of the county. The senior population throughout California is set to double by 2030, meaning there will be more, not less, IHSS providers. The long-term crisis is one of the many worsening crises in the county. Homelessness is increasing, social services are suffering, and many residents are worried about crime and public safety. That's why so many folks in Kern County signed a petition for the term limits. We don't want things to continue to get worse. We want new voices with new solutions. Change is healthy for government, and the time for change has come. The over 26,000 term limits petition signatures that we collected are proof that this county is ready for change. I'm a proponent of the term limits because I know that we can do better. We can elect a leadership that reflects all of us and invests in our local economies. This county wants the opportunity to vote on term limits to help build that leadership. So on behalf of all the members of the We Are Kern as coalition, I ask you to please recognize that the will of the electorate and certify the signatures we have collected and put the issue of term limits before voters in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moreno. And for additional speakers, we'd ask that you please adhere to our 2-minute time limit. Thanks. Thank you. I know, well. Thank you. Any other speakers, please? Okay, I don't see any others that are wanting to speak. Then I'll return to the board. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you. Couch, I think you were waiting before me. Okay, thank you, Supervisor. This is very simple to me. You guys did the work. You gathered the signatures, so hats off to you. Any of us remaining on the board, which may be me still, are not happy about it. I'm sure about that. But I think that's part of the tension, right? That's part of the process that holds people accountable and hopefully gets us, a leadership that is helpful as any community transitions. Its leadership changes, obviously. And, this is going to move it along a little quicker, I think, if it goes through. So I want to say hats off to you for your hard work. I know you're frustrated with government. I think it's incredibly complex how we really fix it, but I admire and appreciate your hard work and what you have done to demonstrate that you want to see government be different and your community be different. And I think that's remarkable. So I don't know what the process is, but certainly I think we need to honor their hard work and the democratic process by doing what is reasonable next and place it on to the next step of the process. That's my position. I need to hear from my colleagues, and we need to craft something that makes sense moving forward. I don't know what they're going to say. I haven't talked to either one of them about it, but I'm certainly curious to hear their heart on the matter. That's where I'm at. And again, congratulations to you for your hard work.
Supervisor Couch.
Well, as I understand it, we have to place this on the ballot. Our only choice is, do we want the report first? Is that right? I mean, that's what this as I read the administrative report.
That is correct.
Okay. I would like to see the report first. Asking for the report, by the way, in no way slows up. Let me back up and say it this way. This will be on the November ballot, whether we ask for the report or whether we don't ask for the report. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I guess you're asking us what, if anything, specifically do we want to see, if we want to see the report, what do we want to see in that report? And I would leave that pretty open-ended. I want to see anything and everything that our legal department, our elections department can think of that we ought to know and the public ought to know. Going forward, and as this is decided upon, I guess, in November. I don't have anything specifically that I want to see in the report, but I don't have anything specifically that I want to see not in the report either. The subjects that were listed out, for example, impacts on ag lands and open space, I have no idea if those are even appropriate for this measure, because this is a measure on term limits, so I don't have any idea how ag space or open space ag land or open space would be impacted, but I don't want to preclude anything either. So my preference would be to get the report. We have to have it back, and it has to be done within 30 days, correct?
That is correct.
I'll make a motion that we proceed in that manner, asking for the report and having it delivered back in 30 days. And after, would we be taking the action to put it on the November ballot at the same time we receive the report back?
Not necessarily. You'll receive the report within 30 days, and it will go on the next Board of Supervisors agenda.
But the report will come back in open session and with the opportunity for the public to comment on it as well. Is that right? Or do I have to request that?
I believe that's correct. So yeah, it may work out so that it probably will work out so that it's the same time you're going to put it on the November ballot at the same time you receive the report.
Okay, so that's my motion. Thank you.
Just a point of clarification. So June 14th is today. 30 days, the report comes back. When do we move forward? Thank you. Okay, so we meet on the 19th. So July 19th, that's still plenty of time. Okay. For us to put this on the ballot. All right. Very good. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any more questions or comments? Excuse me.
I'll second Supervisor Couch's motion.
Okay. You have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. I believe that brings us to the conclusion of our agenda this morning. We do have some items to consider in closed session. We have one item under County Administrative Office, item 88, and one item under County Council, item 89. So I'll ask for a motion to adjourn closed session.
So moved.
We're adjourned.